Hello and welcome to SportsLine. I'm Jake Smolinski.
And I'm Anna Gomez. Joining us later, Frankie Andriola will be here to give you the latest exploring headlines. Also, Callie Montana will present her pick of the week for Marquee Matchup.
We've got a full show, folks, but first, let's catch up on what went down this past week for our athletes. It was an exciting weekend for men's LaSalle's cross-country team. On the 17th, the Explorers had a strong performance and came in 4th place at the Princeton and the Leopard Invitationals. All 5 Explorers at Princeton finished in the top 40, helping LaSalle place highest of A10 teams at 4th out of 21 teams. Junior Bradley Hooer was key with a time of 24 minutes and 26 seconds and placing 13th in the 181-man field. Jeez. At the Leopard Invitational, the 5 competing Explorers finished in the top 30. Junior David Ozarowski led the blue and gold with a 26-minute and 23-second finish, placing 18th of 133.
And the women's team also attended the Princeton Invitational, placing 9th in the 6-kilometer race. Sophomore Morgan Zeckley led the Explorers in the 206-runner field to take 16th place in 21 minutes and 41 seconds. This is just 1 second off her fastest 6K time in her collegiate career. And now redshirt freshman Caitlin Poez was just a few seconds behind, taking 28th. Her 22-minute finish is Poez's fastest time of her rookie career, shattering her previous 6K record by 2 minutes. And graduate student Lauren Columbare was 3rd to cross the finish line for the Explorers in the 61st place overall. And rounding out the top 5 times for the Explorers were senior Kaylee McNally and freshman Molly Deary.
And then on October 18th, the women's rowing team competed in Massachusetts at the Head of the Charles Regatta, the largest two-day regatta in the world. In LaSalle's first time at this event, the lightweight 4 finished 10th out of 16 boats. And well, I headed out on Saturday, October 24th to cover my first regatta, and not just any regatta, the Head of the Schuylkill. And now this is a first for SportsLine, and it is plausible that not one reporter has ever made it down to the Schuylkill for a crew event. And after trying to make it to the races, I can see why. Take a look. This is Jake Smolinski reporting here from the Head of the Schuylkill Regatta here on the Schuylkill River. It's a beautiful day out here. Managed to come down here with fellow LaSalle TV correspondent Steve Graham. Made a horrible parking decision, wound up in the woods. I don't know how we're here, but take a look at some of the shots that we got of the races. To preface things, this is not going to be your typical SportsLine package. Starting from the beginning, it was a disaster. I asked Steve on a Saturday morning to drive me out to the Schuylkill. About 20 minutes beforehand, he somehow agreed and we hit the road. Upon arriving, we got rerouted to some park and didn't realize that we had parked around 3 miles away from the actual boathouse row. That did not stop us, as we saw the promised land through the trees and began a hike through the woods with all of our camera gear to get down to the action.
Going on an adventure for crew in the forest where there's no water at all, but hopefully there's a river on the other side.
So after stumbling through the woods for, I don't know, maybe half an hour.
We're kind of close to the regatta, I think. We see it in the distance. I see parking down there where we probably could have parked to begin with.
It looked like we finally had made it. Well, upon getting to the action, there wasn't much. So we began our pilgrimage to Boathouse Row. And now I guess to move to some actual factual information, the Head of the Schuylkill is one of the nation's largest crew events. Starting in 1971, now over 6,600 athletes cross the finish line per year. And as we walked through the action, we saw schools from all over the country, Duke, Virginia, NYU, the list goes on. It was total commotion with hundreds of boats hitting the water for the 2.5-mile race. So now, as we finally made it to the action, we could not find LaSalle. After desperately looking for blue and gold somewhere, we came across a crew member and he got us to the tent. To our dismay, we missed every single race LaSalle was in. Sometimes your shoots don't work out as planned, but it's the simple pleasures.
I'm really feeling it in my thighs. It's just like a leg workout in itself. I don't feel safe with Jake. I feel like he wouldn't hesitate to eat me.
Oh, what a beautiful day on the river. That's it for me, Jake Smolinski. Heck yeah.
Well, it seems like you really got in touch with your natural transcendental side right there.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea what happened for that package. That was just way too much. Honestly, it was a beautiful time to just hang out there down by the river. I mean, we literally did not catch one race the entire time. So anyway, while I was stuck in the wilderness, the women's freshman novice 4-boat raced on the Schuylkill, finishing in 8th place with freshman Danielle Naum in the Cox position as UPenn took first. UPenn would thwart the Explorers at every turn in this event, taking first in the women's varsity 8 as LaSalle finished 19th. The men's varsity 8 boat took 14th as UPenn took first, and Drexel finished third.
And the men's swimming and diving team began their season in style, joining the women's team at Kirk Pool on October 21st, beating Villanova handily. The men's team beat the Wildcats by nearly 90 points, and that's thanks to some strong performances from Jakob Bartashevitz and Jerry Gravel and Matthias Glenesk. Among others, for the women's team, senior Kelly Quinn dominated the 1 meter and 3 meter diving events, scoring well above her teammates and opponents. Elsewhere in the pool, freshman Mary Harrington won the 200-yard backstroke in 2 minutes and 31 seconds.
The two teams traveled next to Drexel on October 23rd, with the men again performing well as a unit. Johan Roth won both the 100 and 200-yard breaststroke events and trailed only fellow explorer Fabian Bergman in the 200-yard standouts. Standouts from the women's team include sophomore Emma Smith, who won the 1,000-yard freestyle by over 13 seconds. Smith also took first in the 500-yard freestyle, while rookie Olivia DiStefano took the win in the 100-yard backstroke. For the full list of results for this or any swimming or diving event, be sure to visit goexplorers.com.
And the LaSalle golf team competed at the Old Dominion OBX Invitational on Sunday, October 25th through Tuesday, October 27th. PJ Asiano proved once again to be the top performer for the Explorers, shooting an even par for the 3-day tournament. And the redshirt junior placed 8th out of 93 players. The next Explorer on the leaderboard was graduate student Tony Eifpoon, who finished in the 18th place with a score of +5 for the event. Freshman Andrew Reynolds rounded out the top 3 Explorer performances with a 3-round score of +8 to finish in 35th place. The Explorers placed 7th out of the 18 teams at the event thanks to their +11 group effort. This was their second lowest 54-hole score in program history.
Awesome. And the volleyball team dropped their matchups with GW, George Mason, and Maryland Eastern Shore to continue a losing streak that has plagued the team for weeks. They returned to the court on October 23rd, hoping to snap their 8-game skid against VCU. LaSalle took an extremely competitive first set, 25-23, after trailing by as many as 7 in the frame. However, they fell behind in both the third and second before set 4, in which LaSalle overcame a 6-point gap to take this win 25-22. But it was the decisive 5th set that proved to be too much for LaSalle, who quickly fell behind 8-3 before losing the set by 3 points. Freshman Taylor Height had a strong performance with 38 assists and 10 digs.
And just 2 days later, the team traveled to North Carolina to take on Davidson University. The Wildcats looked impressive in the first set, securing a 25-22 win with a 65% side-out percentage. In set 2, Davidson jumped out to an early 9-2 lead and kept rolling en route to a 25-20 set win. The Explorers' woes continued in set 3, dropping the final frame by a large margin of 25-10. Ashley Felton led the Explorers with 10 kills.
And with a total of 4 games played over this 2-week stretch, it looks like field hockey has finally caught their stride. Coming away with 3 wins and a loss, the offense is clicking right as we head into the tail end of the season before the A-10 championships. First, LaSalle came away with a beautiful 3-1 win against Big 5 rivals St. Joe's at home. Jenica Miller managed to tap in goal 1 in the 14th minute, followed up by stellar inside play from Kendall Creeder for 2 more. Despite a rebound goal from the Hawks, goalie Rachel Hartman locked it down.
And Creeder kept it strong against Towson on October 18th as well, helping lead an offense that tallied 3 goals. Hartman dominated in net as well, shutting the Tigers out to give LaSalle's 3rd consecutive win. However, on October 23rd, the Explorers lost all momentum as UMass steamrolled LaSalle 5-0 in one of the toughest losses of the season. But true to their form, the Explorers bounced back on the 25th and grabbed a 3-2 win over Bryant to keep the postseason hopes alive. With only 2 games left in the regular season schedule, their record has improved to an even 500.
On Thursday, October 17th, Dayton crushed men's soccer 5-0. The team then traveled to UMass where they lost 2-1. A week later, the men challenged the University of Rhode Island in a heated overtime match. The URI Rams fought early, eventually scoring in the 27th minute. LaSalle came back blazing in the second half as senior captain Joe Farrell sent the ball into the net off a pass from freshman Tony Daniele. It was a ruthless contest with a load of fouls from both teams. In overtime, a shuffle in the box allowed URI to score, effectively ending the game 2-1. Yeah.
But women's soccer returned to action after its 0-0 tie against VCO with their match versus Dayton. Jill Curitan has the coverage.
Thursday, on October 15th, LaSalle women's soccer team hosted their annual Pack the Max tailgate. Your LaSalle Explorers took on the Dayton Flyers on a cold, windy night at McCarthy Stadium that was filled with LaSalle students in hopes to continue their victorious ways. In the first period, LaSalle Explorers got things going with an early goal. Junior Mary Kate Bateman jump-started the Explorers with a 1-0 lead, making it her 4th goal this season. The Blue and Gold wouldn't have to wait long for their next goal. Senior Chrissy Volrath scored later in the first period off of some very key passes from Deja Davis and classmate Jessica Kagan. Later in the first period, Dayton would try to claw their way back into the game with a goal in the 40th minute off the foot of Beth Campmas. But LaSalle hung on in a very physical second period to defeat the Dayton Flyers by a score of 2-1. Getting their second in the A10, improving their record to 6-6-2. For SportsLine, this is Joel Curitan.
LaSalle fouled the string wins together, losing to VCU on the 18th day by a score of 4-1. After a few days of rest, the Explorers got back on track with a 2-0 victory over the Richmond Spiders. On October 22nd, redshirt sophomore Larissa Zambelli recorded her first career shutout between the pipes.
Wow. And on the 25th, the Explorers traveled to St. Louis, where they experienced 2 overtime periods that concluded with a tie at 1. Both teams got on the scoreboard early. The Billikens' Danielle Thomas netted the first goal in the 3rd minute, and then LaSalle answered in the 8th off the foot of Macy Bauer. The freshman pushed down before blasting the field on the goal for 10 yards out. The Explorers managed 13 other shots on the day with no success, but goalkeeper Larissa Zambelli faced 16 shots and saved 3 with a huge block in the 108th minute.
And now on to our weekly awards for LaSalle sports. Well, she's quickly becoming a favorite here on SportsLine. Freshman volleyball star Taylor Height was named A10 Rookie of the Week for her 68 sets tallied over a 2-game period. In fact, 45 of those sets came solely in the Explorers' 4-set loss to George Mason. And sophomore Kendall Creeder, off the field hockey team, was given an A10 Co-Performer of the Week honors after scoring 3 goals in 2 games, 2 of which came in LaSalle's 3-1 victory over rival St. Joe's. Creeder leads the team in goals with 4 and in points with 11.
And LaSalle swimming and diving teams have their own individual achievements as well. Freshman Olivia DiStefano grabbed her second A10 Rookie of the Week honors after dominating the meets versus Drexel and Villanova, including a first-place finish in the 100-yard backstroke against the Wildcats. And on the men's team, fellow freshman Alexander Nikolic picked up his first Rookie of the Week honors as well. Nikolic won 2 individual races, including the 200-yard freestyle at Drexel. He also helped the team place first in the 2 relay events.
And good job to our athletes. And now here to give the latest exploring headlines, Mr. Frankie Andriola. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, I'd just like to compliment your bolo.
Thank you. I did it just for you, actually, so thank you. Thank you very much.
Where does your style influence come from? I just got to ask.
I don't know, dude. I'm from Jersey City. It just kind of happened.
Because you're also wearing cowboy boots.
It just kind of happened. I don't know what to tell you. But let's get to it. With basketball season beginning in a few weeks, the Atlantic 10 has released this year's preseason awards. And wouldn't you know it, 3 Explorers made the list for both the men's and women's sport. Men's junior Jordan Price made first team all-conference after a tremendously successful season in which he led the team in scoring and was second in the A10 with 17 points per game. The A10 also named women's teammate Michaela Owens and Jasmine Alston to the All-Star All-Conference third team and All-Defensive team respectively. Owens was one of the most important parts of LaSalle's offense last year, averaging 13.8 points per game and scoring 20 points or more in 5 games. Alston led the A10 in steals last season with 73 and 10 in assists with 3.3 per game. Former Explorer Cheryl Reeve notched her 3rd WNBA title after coaching the Minnesota Lynx in a 5-game series against the Indiana Fever. The alumna played a big part in LaSalle's 25-5 record in 1988, and she holds the program's record for most career starts with 110. Reeves' 2 previous WNBA titles were also with the Lynx, making this her 3rd championship win in 5 seasons.
Frank? Thanks so much for coming on the show, honestly.
Well, I'm not glad you. This was a lot of fun.
You're one of our favorite contributors.
Thank you.
Here.
I'm glad to hear that.
And also, Frank is actually on the rugby team and is just slugging it out week after week.
Thank you for that, too.
And how is everything going with that, though?
Phenomenal. We're actually in the playoffs. Our first game is November 7th. We find out who we play this Saturday. It's between Bucknell and Susquehanna, two very good teams. So we'll see who we play. November 7th is going to be at whichever the loser is. So we're third seed, so, you know.
I gotcha. But no, you guys have had some incredible games, though, so far this season. Tell me, what do you think has been the defining game for the rugby team, though?
Defining game. That's definitely a tough one, but I'd have to say Widener. We lost to Widener 2 years ago when we were trying to do our perfect season. We lost first round of playoffs that year. But then just seeing Widener this year, we won. We came back second half, 20 minutes left. Did some crazy rugby stuff, you know. just you know, put the pedal to the metal and just, you know, laid some wood. And
so then also, because like the team is like obviously on the upswing right now, who are the people that have really stepped up this season?
Easily, junior Mike Ryan.
Of course.
I don't.
The Adonis.
The Adonis, if you want to put it that way. And another one is freshman Lionel. The kid can run, man. Spin moves 5 people in a single run and just keeps on going. I don't know what to tell you. He just keeps going. Phenomenal.
Yeah, and I guess it would not be the same team without you, of course.
Of
the
course
mullet
not.
is the secret.
I'm like the mascot, so.
Thank you.
Well, it's time for a break, but do not go anywhere.
We'll be able to give you previews of LaSalle's upcoming games when we return.
Behind the wheel in that 43 car.
We all have a role to play here at Richard Petty Motorsports. We respect each other, work hard, and that helped us get the big win in Daytona. My partners in the U.S. Air Force also know that it takes a team to make each mission a success. Your coworkers, family, and friends are your team. Treat them with respect, and together you can accomplish great things. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Today, a new creature walks among us, terrorizing innocent citizens. Until this threat can be contained, we must all be on the lookout for the dreaded digital deadwalkers.
Dude!
They're not looking out for you.
Engage!
A public service safety message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, who want to keep everyone well connected with strong, healthy bones.
Welcome back, and let's see where and when LaSalle will be playing in the week ahead. Men's and women's cross country will travel to Richmond, Virginia for the Atlantic 10 Championship on October 31st. We wish the best of luck to our LaSalle Explorers.
And that same day, both the men's and women's swimming and diving teams will be heading out to Ohio to face Duquesne and St. Bonaventure. The men's team has won its last 2 meets, and the women are still looking for their first win this season, though.
And the crew teams will spend their own Halloween on the road, bummer, and this time at the head of the Ocowan. The race takes place in Fairfax, Virginia.
And LaSalle's golf team will head over to the Marion East Golf Club to participate in the City 6 Championship on Halloween as well. The squad played 3 solid rounds at the Old Dominion OBX Invitational, placing 7th.
And field hockey will conclude its regular season with back-to-back home games against St. Francis on October 30th and Columbia on November 1st. LaSalle is 8-8 on the season and needs to make a win to make the A10 tournament.
And the volleyball squad will have a chance to end their 10-game skid on October 30th when they host 11 and 12 Duquesne. The Explorers feature 2 players in the top 10 for the service aces, Madison Cook and Hannah McGarry, but currently sit at 6 and 20.
And men's soccer will wrap up its regular season on Halloween by hosting local rivals St. Joe's. The Explorers are 5, 10, and 2 on the season.
And women's soccer is concluding its own season at McCarthy Stadium as they host Duquesne on November 1st. From here, the Explorers will have to wait and see who they will play in the Atlantic 10 tournament.
So now, let's check out this week's marquee matchup presented to you by our very own Callie Montana.
Hello, Hello, and welcome to another edition of Marquee Matchup. I'm Callie Montana, here to tell you about the exciting upcoming game that our women's field hockey team has in store for us this weekend. The Explorers will try to expand their winning streak as they go out and take on St. Francis. As the regular season is quickly coming to an end, the field hockey team had a huge win against Bryant this past weekend, when sophomore Eileen Zwill scored the game winner with just over 4 minutes to play, which gave the Explorers a 3-2 victory. They are now 8-8 on the season. The Blue and Gold will want to continue on with this winning streak so they can beat St. Francis and they can keep their A10 tournament hopes alive. In their last 8 contests, the Explorers have only averaged 2.5 goals per game, and in their previous 8 games, they averaged 1 goal per game. The Blue and Gold will need to step it up because the Red Flash is 9-6 on the season, and they have won 5 of their last 6 games. St. Francis has been outscoring their opponents 17-1 in their last 5 wins. They are also leading A10 in scoring margins with 1.26, shots with 241, and with 8 shutouts. If LaSalle is really looking to beat the Hot Red Flashes in order to keep their A10 tournament dreams alive, they are going to need a few of their key players to help out. Senior Janika Miller ranks 3rd in the A10 this season, with a team best of 8 assists. That is the 6th most in a single season by an Explorer. Number 7 Miller has made a huge name for herself throughout her time at LaSalle. She is one of the best defenders out there, and if she continues to dominate out on the field, the Explorers are looking to be in good shape for Friday's game. Next up is junior goalie Rachel Hartman. Number 99 is 2nd in the A10 with 82 saves. She's going to be playing a huge part in this game, making sure she can keep St. Francis from scoring a number of goals, since the Explorers as a whole have been having trouble with scoring. If she continues to dominate the goal, she's going to be another huge key for the Blue and Gold to come off with the win. These young women only make up 2 spots on the field. Now, let's look at what the team as a whole can do in order to take down St. Francis and keep the A10 tournament picture in frame. Number 1, they need to score more goals throughout the game. Throughout this season, there has only been 1 game when they have scored more than 3 goals. They need to make sure that once they score, they continue on and not just give up, because when they score 3 or more, they come up with a win. Secondly, the Explorers need to score early and take the lead. When the Explorers get ahead of their competitors, they are pretty good with maintaining that lead and tend to come out with a win as well. The Explorers need to make sure they get going in the early half so they can be successful. It's going to be an intense but exciting game to watch this weekend and will either make or break the chances for the A10 tournament. Make sure you head out to Hank Day Vincent Field on Friday at 3 p.m. to support and cheer on the field hockey team. For SportsLine, I'm Callie Montana. Let's go, Explorers.
Thanks, Callie. And well, it's time once again for my personal favorite segment, Picks of the Week. I got nothing. So anyway, I got some pretty serious picks for this week. The first one I kind of really want to start with, though, is men's swimming. Facing off, triple header, Duquesne, Bonaventure, St. Louis, all huge A10 contenders. And right now, I feel like men's swimming and diving, we are definitely in a serious position to do something great this season. We've started off red hot. We have Jakub Bartoszewicz, Matthias Glenesk, Fabian Bergman. All these guys are competing at an incredibly high level, winning their individuals. The relays are on point. I'm tweaking out. I literally don't know what to do. Have you gotten a chance to go to any of these swim meets or be caught up on any of this?
I've not. The most I've gotten to catch up is reading about it and talking about it here. And then we got to talk to Jakub a couple of weeks ago and hear what he had to say. Exactly. He's a star. I mean, he's really just.
He puts so much pressure on himself, and I just feel like using him as an example, for the average person on the team, that's how everybody's taking this season right now. And so as they go off against Duquesne, Bonaventure, and St. Louis, it's going to be a really, really huge A10 matchup that has a ton of potential to really, if we can sweep this, we kind of cement ourselves right from the bat that we're going to be doing some great stuff. And so I guess this takes us on to a pretty serious topic that you know quite a lot about. Pick number 2, men's soccer versus St. Joe's. I'm being optimistic. 2-1 win, LaSalle, please.
Wow, that is definitely being ambitious. We always got to be optimistic when it comes to men's soccer. I mean, especially against rival St. Joe's. They've really been struggling this season. It's tough to watch because they've had some really like games that go into overtime, and it's been really rough to watch them lose in overtime a couple of times at this point.
The thing I just can't understand is that we have all the necessary pieces. We have people that are capable of scoring up top, but it just like every game that I've like read about and like gone and seen, it's always one little fluke. It's these overtime losses. It just seems like we're not completing.
Yes.
And you've gone to too many games at this point. But like seriously, like Joe Farrell's done a pretty solid job keeping everybody motivated and everything, but it's just heartbreaking, you know?
Yes, it's very heartbreaking. You watch Joe Farrell pour his heart out every week, giving these guys everything he has. You have guys like Andrew Connors, Tony Daniele, who's coming up. You're definitely going to hear his name a lot more in the coming weeks. Coming years.
Yeah, let's slow it down.
The season's ending soon, but you know what? You've convinced me. I think at least we're hoping to see a nice St. Joe's win.
Yes, that'd be perfect if we could beat St. Joe's. And so finally going on to third pick, I'm gonna be a bit of a downer now. Women's volleyball, 1-3 against Duquesne. Duquesne's a tough squad. They've been eating teams up left and right in the A10, and like the season's kind of really starting to wind down now. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to predict this one. This is going to be a 1-3. It's going to be tough. Taylor Height is still putting up incredible numbers, but I don't know what the heck's going on with the rest of the team. Like, if she's the only anchor that they have and she's a freshman, that's not okay. There needs to be more attention to detail with that, you know? And I know we've really, we've seen volleyball go up and down, and they're finally on the upswing. But like, it's so terrible when we're watching them kind of just this downhill sort of slide. So that honestly, those are my picks of the week. So yeah.
Wow.
Jeez.
Well, that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the marquee matchup, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. And keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting GoExplorers.com and by following us on Twitter at SportsLine LTV. We post game updates and sneak peeks into the upcoming show. Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions about the show on either website. For Frankie, Callie, and our entire SportsLine team, I'm Anna Gomez.
And I'm Jake Smolinski. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the game.